Bill, you've been a Project Camelot whistleblower, and you're well aware of current topics when it comes to underground bases, UFOs, Big Pharma, and the state of the civilization, or our civilization. I'm sure there came a time in your own research when you had an aha moment. What was that like for you? And isn't it true that we continue to have these awakenings as we go?
Yeah, it doesn't happen all at once. It's a combination of a number of them. They still happen regularly. And they're often sometimes something you've just revisited and you get a totally new perspective. For example, things that you have been exposed to maybe decades before you didn't understand them, but when you have a later experience, it all makes it like, oh, now I understand that. And I'm sure, Aaron, you've had that experience where, you know, for example, the aha moment for me was having been the exit examining doctor for the 5 special op forensic team that came back from the Murrah building to Fort Carson back in 1995, and knowing that they removed unexploded munitions from the Murrah building and the operations were run by the FBI and ATF, not by Timothy McVeigh in a Ryder truck. The aha moment was seeing the newscast with the Twin Towers being hit by jet aircraft and saying, I know they did it. And that gut feeling, that gut-wrenching feeling, oh my God, what's next? Those kind of moments, as they happen more and more as you start pursuing this, and you take the red pill, you can't cough the red pill back up because it has barbs on it. It would be nice if this could be just psychosis and you'd like to take a shot and say, I hope someday, you know, so I used to not take this, just humorously, you know, because a lot of people will basically want to persecute you because they don't want to believe that this is true. But as time goes on, you get a thicker and thicker hide, and actually my attitude now is I don't really care what people think. In fact, I want to have a violent emotional response. I don't care if it's love, hate, disgust, as long as it's not apathy to the information I present. And I want I want people to kind of have that
state.
Pardon me?
You go through that real fear state, and after that, you come to a point, like you're talking about, a point of love and really expressing yourself and trying to wake everybody else up around you.
You love them regardless of what behavior they have. In other words, you care about your fellow citizens even if they're still spitting on you, persecuting you. That's friends, relatives, coworkers, because you know at some point their internal fear, which is why they're reacting that way, is going to break down, and they're going to be like quivering children, hoping that you have more answers than they have so that they can find a way out of the mess.
Aaron, what's the news on today? There was a plane that crashed into some of these 3-letter buildings or 3-letter agencies in buildings that Dr. Deagle has talked about, these 3-letter agencies a lot. What was the relation to that? Do you have any more news on that?
Well, I woke up to getting news about the plane that had ran into the Alphabet agent building this morning in Austin, and thanks to the help of some few people that I know, I was immediately to start digging in, and just through my training and my intuition and being really good at putting the pieces together because of my experience and with the help of others, noticed that there were some extremely similarities and a complete parallel to the Twin Towers incident in this, even though this is on a much smaller scale. But to add to that, now, I don't want to, I'm still working on it myself, so for me to, state a complete conclusion right now is something, that's just not the way I work. But I will say this, immediately, videos were being posted on YouTube, and within minutes were being taken off some major websites. I can't remember the name of one in particular, but they were being shut down. Websites that get millions of hits a day that were posting articles and witness accounts were getting shut down. Now, apparently this gentleman had set his house on fire in Waco, which has already been classified as kind of a loony town because of the media, the government-controlled media, really giving that label of the Waco, Texas incident with Koresh. But that the fact that his suicide letter appeared to have shown up on the internet at around the same time when his house, he apparently burned his house down, there's just a lot of inconsistencies right now already, just today, that leave me to question what is really going on. Now, to add to that, there was also a private plane crash that happened in Palo Alto, California yesterday. One of the things that I do see happening is that this could be possibly a method with the false flag, kind of the ingredients that they use for the equation of a false flag operation, that could very much give the government that much say to put a massive restriction on private flying pilot license and private pilot license.
Could this be, in a sense, a false flag for attack on the people and their right to have a license, as it hits an IRS, FBI, CIA office, and they could say, hey, this is an angry taxpayer who, ran his plane into the building or whatever?
Well, no, they're already saying that. They already said that he had issues with the IRS, and that they're already saying that that's the reason why he hit it. Now, let me just add this real quick. As everyone knows, Texas has really been under the microscope with the United States government. We had the tragic Fort Hood incident happen, which I absolutely know that was a false flag operation. But then we also have the fact that Texas, there was all that in the media about how Texas was wanting to secede from the Union. And then the organization We Are Change has been doing major demonstrations as far as enforcing the Second Amendment rights. So, Texas has not exactly been on the good side of those who want control.
Now, as all this attack is happening on and as everything's boiling up here, Dr. Bill, what's the status on Baxter's genetically engineered swine flu pandemic? And what is it currently dormant at this time, or what's going on with that?
It's not dormant. Here's what's happening. There's a number of genetic changes that are now happening, and they're not a mutation. The donor viruses, now the beta virus is endemic on every continent. Okay, so we have changes occurring in Romania, Ukraine now, and now multiple countries, including Greece, now North America, Europe, in a number of gene changes. The D225G and N, if you have both of these gene changes and you have the flu, you have an 80 to 100% chance that you will die. That's right now. The frequency of the gene is anywhere from 1 case in 100 to 1 in 200, but the frequency of the gene, that complex, is going to increase. There's other gene changes. There's an E gene change. There's also a change on the H gene, H274Y, which is to Tamiflu resistance. Because this is a pig flu, not a human flu, one change in amino acid can dramatically increase its case fatality rate and the viral load. The D225N makes it grow in the nose with a higher viral load, and the G makes it grow in the lungs. So if you have both gene changes, you have a massive increase in viral load, which makes you literally dissolve your lungs. So we're going to see the emergence starting this February and March, and a gradual but steady increase in case fatality, even if the total number of flu cases actually drops. As the flu season proceeds, it's going to continue after the flu season, which is March, April, and we're going to continue to see cases increasing through the fall. So I see that we're going to see the emergence of a third and possibly fourth wave with new gene changes over the next year or two. And the flu usually lasts on a period of years until another pandemic flu literally pushes it out, because the previous flus are all gone. They no longer exist. All the flu cases are being reported by PCR or H1N1. Most of them are mild, but there were 10 times more pediatric cases that died from this H1N1 flu than any other previous flu, including right back to 1918. So it's not a minor thing. When they say there are less cases, it's patently not correct. There are 57 million reported cases by the CDC, and the number is probably 2 or 3 times that. So when the virus comes back, people have partial immunity to the California 7 or the milder virus. The only way they can get infected is a more lethal virus, which will have these new gene changes. So the virus will increase in frequency, the lethal genes, and I believe that this year we have a very high probability that we will start to see case fatality rates of 3, 5, 10, 20, 30%. And at that point, it may well shut down regular commerce and travel. sometime this year or early next year.
Now, Aaron, you have information